Right. So in the morning session, we discussed about what is clonidine and how it works. I told you what are the side effects of the drug and where all you can use these drugs. We'll come to the next type of drugs that are used as antihypertensives. Now, under sympatholytics, one class was centrally acting agents, which included clonidine. The second class will be adrenergic receptor blockers. Adrenergic receptor blockers. Now, in this specifically, we'll be discussing about alpha blockers. Okay. Now, alpha blockers can be broadly categorized into two major categories. You have non-selective ones and selective ones. Non-selective and selective. ठीक है. Non-selective में again you'll have categories, but non-selectives are not used as much. ठीक है. At least with respect to hypertension, you do not use non-selective alpha blockers because they can cause a lot of problems. If you remember, in the morning I told you clonidine will act by acting as an agonist to alpha 2. ठीक है. And by acting as an agonist to alpha 2, it is helping you decrease blood pressure. Now, these adrenergic blockers or alpha blockers essentially will do the opposite function if you are using a non-selective one. In alpha blockers as well, the aim of that doctor or the aim should be that you are supposed to only block alpha 1, not alpha 2. Because if you block alpha 2, hypertension will occur, BP will increase. ठीक है. So बहुत peculiar situation है. If you block alpha 1, BP will decrease, but if you block alpha 2, BP will increase. So that is why if you use a non-selective alpha blocker, it will cause a lot of problems in the body. Now, just for an example, I'll give you non-selective alpha blockers mein non-competitive. You'll have phenoxybenzamine. Phenoxy. We'll not be studying about them, but just in case you are asked to write the classification, then just the names. Competitive में you can write chlorpromazine. This is a drug that you have already discussed इससे पहले. Chlorpromazine. Where did we study about chlorpromazine? It is also abbreviated CPZ. We studied about chlorpromazine somewhere, no? Think and tell me if we are able to recollect where you can where we studied about chlorpromazine. Anyway, coming to selective blockers. Selective blockers may you have alpha 1 blockers and alpha 2 blockers. Alpha 2 blockers you do not use because they will cause hypertension. Rather than decreasing blood pressure, they will increase blood pressure. Mirtazapine and yohimbine will come under alpha 2 blockers. Alpha 2 blockers will be given in hypotensive crisis. If the patient is in hypotensive crisis where blood pressure is very low, जब देते alpha 2 blocker, ठीक है, that will increase BP. Normally, if you are trying to treat hypertension, you will only use alpha 1 blocker. ठीक है. Alpha 1 blocker में you'll have prazosin, alfuzosin, tamsulosin, and doxazosin. You'll have more drugs as well, but these are the commonly used ones. So alpha 1 blockers include prazosin. This is the main drug, prazosin. Other than that, tamsulosin can be given. Tamsulosin is specifically used in BPH, benign prostatic hyperplasia, where the patient is not able to urinate properly. Prostatic gland hyperplasia. You can also use alfuzosin. Alfuzosin. Okay. Now, coming to the action of alpha receptor blockage, see, the important function is that alpha receptor, when you are stimulating alpha 1 receptor, or whenever alpha 1 receptor is stimulated, when alpha 1 receptor is stimulated, it will cause vasoconstriction. What is the effect of vasoconstriction on blood pressure? What will happen if I constrict blood vessels to blood pressure? Increase होता है या कम होता?
कम होता सर.
Increases.
जरा सोच के बोला करो. देखो, we have a blood vessel here, blood is flowing like this. आप एक पाइप इमेजिन कर लो ना यार. आप at one point or the other, I'm sure you must have used a pipe through which water was flowing. What will happen if you squeeze that pipe? प्रेशर इंक्रीज होता, प्रेशर डिक्रीज होता?
increases.
इंक्रीज होता ना. हाँ, उतना ही है. आपके blood vessels are like pipes for your body through which the water, as in the liquid that is flowing, is blood. If you constrict those blood vessels, blood pressure will increase. If you expand or dilate those blood vessels, blood pressure will decrease. Here, whenever alpha 1 receptors are stimulated, it will cause vasoconstriction. Meaning, if I block alpha 1 receptors, what will happen? If alpha 1 receptors are causing vasoconstriction, stimulation of alpha 1 receptor is causing vasoconstriction. If I cause alpha 1 blockage, what will happen? If I block alpha 1 receptor, antagonist drug दिया तो ये सिनारियो में ब्लड वेसल छोटा हो जा रहा. ये सेकंड सिनारियो में ब्लड वेसल को क्या होता? और it'll dilate no baba. See, when you are stimulating alpha receptor, I told you it is causing vasoconstriction. Here the goal is to treat that patient of hypertension. Hypertension में already blood pressure बहुत high है. If you cause any more vasoconstriction, that patient will die. So you are blocking those alpha receptors. If you block alpha receptors, eventually will it not cause vasodilation? समझ में आ रहा कॉन्सेप्ट? अल्फा 1 को स्टिमुलेट करे तो vasoconstriction होता. यहाँ पर अल्फा 2 की बात ही नहीं हो रही. आई एम सेलेक्टिवली स्पेसिफिकली टॉकिंग अबाउट अल्फा 1. Okay, don't get confused between alpha 1 and alpha 2. First we'll cover of, we have already covered alpha 2, but for now in this session, alpha 1 blockers or alpha 1 blockage will cause vasodilation. Alpha 2 stimulation, alpha 2 stimulation will decrease BP. सो कॉन्ट्राडिक्टरी इफेक्ट्स हो रहे. अल्फा 1 को आप ब्लॉक करें तो बीपी कम हो रहा, अल्फा 2 को स्टिमुलेट करें तो बीपी कम हो रहा. ठीक है. इन बोथ द सिनारियोज यू कैन डिक्रीज बीपी. इट डिपेंड्स ऑन व्हाट यू आर डूइंग ऑन ईच ऑफ दीज रिसेप्टर्स. इफ यू ब्लॉक अल्फा 1 receptor, it will cause vasodilation because it will act on the blood vessels. If you stimulate alpha 2, see, let's suppose you block alpha 2, what will happen is noradrenaline release will be enhanced. If you remember in the morning, I told you whenever alpha 2 receptors are stimulated, what will happen is the negative feedback mechanism of norepinephrine will be enhanced, and as a result, norepinephrine stimulus will never go to the postsynaptic neuron. Hence, blood pressure is decreasing. If you cause blockage of that receptor, norepinephrine is free to go and stimulate the following neuron, and as a result, what will happen is it will start stimulating the production of more and more norepinephrine, noradrenaline. As a result, the number of signals that are being propagated will increase quite a lot. As a result, beta receptors will get stimulated. Beta receptors, beta 1 receptor of your heart starts getting stimulated. Your SA node gets stimulated, and as a result, because of beta stimulation, your heart will undergo tachycardia and cardiac output will increase. If tachycardia and cardiac output increases, blood pressure को क्या होता? If there is tachycardia and increased cardiac output, what will happen to your blood pressure?
Increase.
Unsure?
Increases.
If heart rate, see, tachycardia का मतलब क्या है? Heart rate increase हो रहा. Cardiac output का मतलब क्या है? Out of, instead of 75 ml being ejected out in one beat, more is being ejected out. Let us suppose 100 ml is being ejected out. ठीक है. Effective volume बोल रहा हूँ मैं, not the total volume. I'm telling only the effective volume that is being ejected out. So if this increases and this increases, what will happen to BP? बढ़ता है या कम होता?
बढ़ता.
ठीक है. तो बेसिक प्रिंसिपल इज अल्फा 1 को ब्लॉक करना, अल्फा 2 को स्टिमुलेट करना. That is how you are able to decrease BP. Did all of you understand this concept, or do you want me to repeat it again? Please do not get confused between alpha 1 and alpha 2 receptors. अगर इधर का इधर लिख दिए ना पेशेंट मर जाता, या इधर का इधर लिख दिए भी तो पेशेंट मर जाता. So that is why I'm asking again. If you did not understand or if you want me to repeat this again, please feel free to ask. Okay. Now, let us suppose this was about alpha 1 blocker, selective alpha 1 blocker, right? Whenever I'm telling alpha 1 blocker or alpha 2 blocker, it means that I'm selectively blocking it. Only then I can term it as alpha 1 or alpha 2. If it is a non-selective, I'll just call it a non-selective alpha blocker, or I'll only call it a alpha blocker rather than alpha 1 and alpha 2. When I specifically mention it is a alpha 1 blocker, it means that the drug is selecting between alpha 1 and alpha 2. It is selecting alpha 1 and it is only blocking alpha 1, or at least to a major degree it will only affect alpha 1, and to a minor degree it might affect alpha 2. Okay. If you give a non-selective alpha blocker, like chlorpromazine or phenoxybenzamine, non-selective alpha blocker or non-selective alpha blockage. Now here what is happening is your body is getting double response. It is getting one stimulus that is causing your heart rate to increase, and another stimulus that is causing your blood pressure to fall. So that patient will have hypotension with tachycardia. See, because I'm using a non-selective alpha blocker, it is blocking both alpha 1 and alpha 2. If I block alpha 1, blood pressure will go down. That is beneficial to me. But if I block alpha 2, it will cause tachycardia by stimulation of by increased release of noradrenaline. Beta receptors will get stimulated. It will cause tachycardia. That is why if you use a non-selective alpha blocker, it will cause both hypotension and tachycardia. Okay. Hence, selective alpha 1 blockage is used. Okay. You only want selective alpha 1 blockade, not alpha 1 plus alpha 2 blockade or non-selective alpha blockade. Now, anyway, if generally you use these drugs, specifically alpha 1 blockers, the common adverse effects that will occur is postural hypertension, orthostatic hypertension भी बोलते हैं इसको, hypotension है, okay. When the patient changes their position, their blood pressure will fall. Generally, if they are sitting, their blood pressure will be normal, or when they are lying down, their blood pressure will be normal, and when they stand up, their blood pressure will fall. Okay. Palpitation. It can cause nasal stuffiness. Other than that, it can cause meiosis. What is meiosis? And impotence. To a degree, it will also cause impaired ejaculation. So infertility will occur in men when you use prazosin or when you use alpha 1 blocker for a long period of time. They will not be able to ejaculate properly, and as a result, infertility might occur. Okay? Or at least sterility will occur, even if it is not infertility per se. Now, the main drug that I was talking about in alpha 1 blocker is prazosin, right? Now, prazosin, even though we are telling it is a selective alpha 1 blocker, it is highly selective of alpha 1 to a degree where it is 1000 times more selective, और 1000 times selective भी बोल सकते हैं. इसका मतलब क्या है? For every 1000 alpha 1 molecules or alpha 1 receptors it blocks, it will block one molecule of alpha 2. Meaning यहाँ पर it is not completely a non alpha 2 blocker. Okay, it is not that it is not affecting alpha 2 at all. It will affect alpha 2, but the degree to which it is attaching is very low. If it is attaching to 1000 alpha 1 receptors, it will only attach to 1 alpha 2 receptors. The affinity of prazosin is 1000:1. Now, the later generations of alpha 1 blockers are even better. Terazosin, doxazosin, alfuzosin, tamsulosin, urapidil, all of these drugs will have even better selectivity. They will have a higher selectivity of alpha 1, meaning you will see lesser and lesser side effects from alpha 2. ठीक है, जो अल्फा 2 ब्लॉकेज की वजह से जो साइड इफेक्ट्स होते हैं, those will go down even more, specifically because these newer alpha 1 blockers are better at selecting, or they have more affinity towards alpha 1 receptors when compared to alpha 2. Right. When you cause alpha 1 blockage, both arterioles and venules will dilate. Because it is causing vasoconstriction, it will dilate both alpha 1 and sorry, it will dilate both arterioles and venules. So what will happen to your heart? What will happen to preload and afterload? दोनों कम होते हैं या एक कम होता है या एक कम होता है या एक ज्यादा होता है? What will happen if you decrease the blood pressure in both arteries and veins? What will be the effect to afterload and preload?
दो कम होते
Both of
डिक्रीज
them
हो
will
जाती
fall down. Okay. So two people are telling both of them are falling down. Is it okay with everyone? समझ में आ रहा कहीं को ये दोनों कम होते बल्कि?
yes sir
Okay. So I'm hoping that, see, if you don't tell anything, I will obviously assume that you are understanding. So A and P, both of them will fall. Afterload and preload are falling both together. अगर क्या बोलते हैं आपका वेन्युलर प्रेशर कम हुआ, सॉरी आर्टेरियोलर प्रेशर कम हुआ, तो आपका आफ्टरलोड कम होता. अगर आपका वेन्युलर प्रेशर कम हुआ तो प्रीलोड कम होता. ठीक है. I hope you know the logic. If venular pressure decreases, there will not be as much pressure on your ventricles to undergo complete diastole, and it will not put that much pressure on your ventricles. If arterioles are not having as much pressure, if the arteriolar pressure decreases, your afterload decreases because your heart does not have to work as hard to push the blood into aorta and pulmonary artery. Right. So, other than this, prazosin and its congeners can also decrease. They decrease LDL and triglycerides. So they are indirectly cardioprotective. They will decrease low density lipoproteins and triglycerides. Both of them are harmful type of cholesterols, and it will increase HDL, high density lipoprotein. I hope you guys remember what are LDL and HDL. याद है? Last year in detail पढ़े थे biochemistry में. ये year भी थोड़ा बहुत पढ़े थे actually in pathology. What is HDL and LDL, or what are HDL and LDL? So I asked you two questions today. What is CPZ and what is HDL and LDL?
low density lipoprotein
I'm not able to hear you. There is a lot of background noise, whoever is trying to talk.
low density lipoproteins LDL
Okay, well, like, I mean, what are their functions? Like, what do they do? Find out and tell me. Right. Now, one of the most significant adverse effects that occurs with prazosin, especially in new people, is something called first dose phenomenon. Now, when you give prazosin for the first time, especially in the first hour of the initial dose, let us suppose today in the morning you started a patient on prazosin. Let us suppose you gave the drug at 10 o'clock in the morning. In the first hour of giving the drug to the patient, there will be a significant drop in the patient's blood pressure, and there will be marked postural hypotension. बहुत ज़्यादा hypotension होता to a point that the patient might faint. ठीक है? In the first hour of giving the first dose, the patient might have a fall in blood pressure to such a degree that they might faint. Okay, that is called first dose phenomena, because your body takes some time to get adjusted to that dose, and even a small dose is very high for your body. So what you can do is, a normal dose is very high to your body, so what you can do is start with the lowest therapeutic dose. ठीक है, let us suppose this is the therapeutic window. ठीक है, यहाँ से यहाँ तक पूरा therapeutic window ही है. So you can either give here or you can give here, right? Both of them will have a therapeutic effect. Duration of action will be different, but essentially both of them will have a therapeutic effect. Instead of starting somewhere around here, start the drug at here. Okay, start with the lowest therapeutic dose, then slowly go up. Okay, that is how you avoid first dose phenomena. When you give prazosin or any other alpha 1 blocker, start with the lowest dose and generally it is given during bedtime. ठीक है, bedtime सोने से पहले दे दे, and slowly you start increasing the dose. And watch for hypertension, especially to avoid falls. अगर आप older people में दे रहे, if you are giving it in older people, make sure that you observe them closely, because there is a chance that they might faint and fall down, and older people will have the risk of fracturing their bones very easily. So there is that. Tamsulosin is a specific alpha 1 blocker that will be used for BPH. Okay. Essentially what it does is it will stimulate your alpha 1A receptors in your bladder and prostate, and as a result what will happen is the patient will be able to urinate properly. In BPH, benign prostatic hyperplasia, the patient will not be able to urinate properly because of hyperplasia of their uh, prostate gland. तो आप अगर tamsulosin दिए या alfuzosin दिए, both of them will relieve the symptoms of BPH to a certain degree. ठीक है. The newer alpha 1 blockers have better this thing as well. They will not cause as much postural hypotension. That is also another advantage. Prazosin से जितना postural hypertension होता उतना you will not have it with doxazosin or terazosin or alfuzosin. Then coming to the next type of drugs, so those were all sympatholytic drugs. So there are three classes that we finished. Diuretics, diuretics तो already हो गया था. RAS agents, ठीक है, AC inhibitors and angiotensin receptors. Sympatholytics में we had two subclasses which were centrally acting, clonidine and methyl dopa, and adrenergic receptors. Methyl dopa is very similar to clonidine. It is just that methyl dopa is a prodrug. It will get converted into a compound. That compound will have the same mechanism of action as clonidine. That is why I did not discuss that drug. Same mechanism of action as clonidine. Initially, it will be a prodrug. The compound that is formed from the prodrug will act like clonidine. So that is why same action anyway. And adrenergic receptor blockers, alpha blockers, beta blockers, and alpha plus beta blockers. Then you can use calcium channel blockers like nifedipine and amlodipine. Finally, the last class will be vasodilators. Now, vasodilators are generally used only in case of emergencies. Normally, utna regularly use nahi karte ye vasodilators ko. Okay, one second. Right. So vasodilators, there are two main drugs that will come under this. Hydralazine. Until and unless the patient has very serious hypertension या emergency condition, ये नहीं देते ये दोनों को. Sodium nitroprusside. Sodium nitroprusside can also be used in angina. Anyway, what do these do? Essentially, they will act on vascular smooth muscles. They will relax vascular smooth muscles. So your blood vessels, specifically in your tunica media, has tunica media is a muscular layer. The circular and longitudinal muscles which are present in your tunica media, those will be relaxed by these vasodilators. And as a result, what will happen is PVR decreases. If those blood vessels are getting dilated, PVR decreases, and as a result, BP falls. But one problem because of this is whenever BP falls due to vasodilators, it will stimulate RAS. Okay? Renin angiotensin aldosterone system gets stimulated, and as a result, generally patients who are on vasodilators, they will have sodium and water retention, and tachycardia. Okay, so that is two very significant side effects that will occur with vasodilators. All vasodilators, they will no doubt decrease your blood pressure, but in turn they will stimulate your RAS and they can cause tachycardia, and this is common effect. Tachycardia especially is common with all vasodilators. Okay. Hydralazine specifically is a arteriolar vasodilator. Blood BP fall will be associated with tachycardia. It will be associated with renin release and fluid retention. But the advantage is that coronary blood flow, cerebral blood flow, renal blood flow, all of this will increase. So what is the advantage if you are increasing coronary, cerebral or renal blood flow? The chances of heart attack decreases, the chances of stroke occurring decreases, and the chances of any acute kidney injury occurring decreases. If you are increasing, if you are reinstating the blood supply, let us suppose someone is about to have a heart attack. Heart attack hota kyun? Your coronaries are getting blocked. Your coronary blood vessels are not able to uh, provide enough amount of oxygen and blood and nutrients to the muscles of your heart. Okay, to your pericardial muscles, endocardial muscles, so on and so forth. So uh, b- those blood vessels, essentially, when you are able to dilate them, let us suppose because of a blockage they are being their blood flow is being blocked and blood is not able to reach your heart. In that scenario, the patient is almost about to have a heart attack. That is how a heart attack occurs, when coronaries are not able to supply blood to heart or any part of the heart. Okay, it might be a small area as well, but still that will be categorized as a myocardial infarction. If you are able to give a vasodilator, it will dilate those blood vessels, and as a result, even if there is a blockage, let us suppose this is the initial size of the blood vessel, and imagine this is the blockage. Okay? Even if it is not completely covering the blood vessel or the area of the blood vessel, it is causing significant stoppage of blood. Okay? Only this much small area of blood can flow. There's a small portion where blood can flow through. Now, instead of removing that blockage, now immediately it will be hard for me to remove that blockage. If I simply increase the size of this blood vessel, blockage उतनी ही है, blockage बड़ी नहीं हो रही. Okay? Blockage is of the same size. Imagine the blockage is still of this size. Okay? What is happening here? You are increasing this much area for that blood to move, right? So even if there is a blockage, it will not cause as much problem, temporarily at least. Okay? Till you are able to resolve the problem, till you are able to perform a surgery and remove that blockage, or you are able to give a drug that is able to remove the blockage. Okay? As such, these drugs will cause, especially hydralazine, it will cause flushing. The whole skin and face will become reddish. Palpitation, it can cause hypotension, it can cause salt and water retention. Some patients who have cardiovascular problems, especially patients who have angina, in them, due to increased oxygen demand, reflex tachycardia might occur. So reflex tachy in angina patients, I'll explain in the next chapter what is angina. Next आपको topic जो है इसके बाद angina ही है. You have shock and plasma expanders. After that you have angina. So reflex tachycardia occurs, and because of decreased blood supply, peripheral vasodilation की वजह से blood supply decreases to a certain extent. Okay, because you are causing vasodilation, especially in the peripheral areas. In the central areas, the amount of blood that is being supplied will decrease. Okay, because blood is staying in your periphery for a longer period of time. Think of it that way. Instead of blood moving around throughout your body in 1 minute, let us suppose it is taking 1.5 minutes. So the demand of oxygen increases technically. Okay, relative demand will increase. Those cells are still demanding the same. It is just that they are not getting it in time, on time. So that can happen because of vasodilators. Some patients will have hypersensitive reaction. Very few, but they can have hypersensitive reaction. You can give hydralazine in pregnancy. It is safe in second and third trimester. Okay. So that is about hypertension, and those are about the different hypertensives. Now, coming to treatment, I'll just tell you the basic way through which hypertension is treated. We'll not go into the proper therapy of it. Some drug interaction and treatment. First, we'll go over drug interaction, then we'll go over treatment. Drug interactions may first sympatholytics, centrally acting and adrenergic blockers. Sympatholytics should never be mixed with TCS. ट्राईसाइक्लिक एंटीडिप्रेसेंट्स के साथ मिक्स नहीं करना या सिंपैथोमाइमेटिक्स के साथ मिक्स नहीं करना. It will decrease the activity of that antihypertensive agent. TCS are amitriptyline. Those antidepressant drugs that we discussed earlier, those are TCS, tricyclic antidepressants. Other than that, don't combine clonidine or methyl-dopa or centrally acting agents. Centrally acting antihypertensives with antihistamines. Both of them will cause significant sedation. increase in anti-HTN activity. Both of these combination will increase sedation. अगर बहुत ज़्यादा हुआ तो dose, the patient might go into coma. And don't combine them with NSAIDs. NSAIDs itself will increase salt and water retention, so it will negate the effect of an antihypertensive that you are giving. Especially don't combine diuretics and NSAIDs, but in general don't combine NSAIDs with any other antihypertensive agent. Okay. Coming to the treatment of hypertension, if the patient has stage 1 hypertension, then you can give thiazide diuretics, hydrochlorothiazide, chlorothiazide, thiazide diuretics, or you can give okay, AC inhibitors, captopril and enalapril, ramipril, or you can give ARBs, losartan, telmisartan, all of that, or you can give CCBs, any one of them, not all. Okay. As I told you, stage 1 is easily manageable if you are able to control your lifestyle to a certain extent, or better your lifestyle to a certain extent. Stage 2 may combination of two drugs. So generally you use thiazide diuretics, plus diuretics is a common one that is used. Then you can add it with either ARB, depending on the patient's other comorbidities, AC inhibitors, or you can give CCBs. Okay. If a patient has CKD, chronic kidney disease, initiate with AC inhibitors, because AC inhibitors will increase renal blood flow. You can also start ARBs with or without any other antihypertensives. Patients who have CKD, उनके अंदर उतना aggressively treat नहीं करना चाहिए. Antihypertensive therapy उतना ज़्यादा नहीं देना, because their kidneys are already damaged. They will not be able to handle very strong combinations or way too many combinations of drugs. Until unless the patient is dying, multiple combinations नहीं देते hypertensives के. In case of hypertensive emergency, malignant hypertension or hypertensive emergency. So what do I mean by hypertensive emergency? If a patient's blood pressure goes over 180 by 100 or 180 by 110. Okay. This is still called malignant hypertension when it goes beyond 200 by 140 or something like that. That is when hypertensive emergency occurs. You immediately need to shut down the patient's blood pressure back to normal. In that scenario, you will use a vasodilator. Sodium nitroprusside is given. Sodium nitroprusside acts very quickly. It is a vasodilator, acts within 3 minutes. Sorry, acts within 30 seconds. It will act for 3 minutes. It will work for a short period of time, but it will help you stabilize the patient's condition. You can give IV of sodium nitroprusside. Generally, IV is preferred, so that action is fast. You can give IV esmolol. You can give diazoxide. You can give sublingual nifedipine, sublingual this thing, CCB. अगर pregnancy में हो रहा, if a patient is pregnant and they are having hypertension, then methyl dopa can be given orally. Okay. You can also prefer hydralazine, especially if the patient is having emergency. If there is an emergency and you want to decrease the blood pressure very quickly, then hydralazine दे सकते. Neither normally you can maintain the patient on methyl dopa. Okay. Don't give hydralazine in the first trimester. You can give it in the second and third trimester. Okay. You might also use cardio-selective blockers like atenolol. Okay. Generally, calcium channel blockers are not used because they can facilitate labor. When the patient is pregnant, it might be a problem. Okay. Withdraw it during labor. So anyway, it is inhibiting uterine contractions. So withdraw it during labor. So that is about antihypertensives and all the antihypertensive drugs as such. Now shock and plasma expanders अपन कल करेंगे. Okay, it's a small topic. After that, shock and plasma expanders will go to angina. Just read up on different types of shock. आप लोगों को last year shock के बारे में पढ़ाए थे क्या? Were you taught about shock? Different types of shock. There are 5 different types of shock. पढ़ाए थे? नो, अच्छा ठीक है, तो कल वो भी कवर कर देंगे. शॉक, you only have shock as such and plasma expanders. Plasma expanders are your NS and osmotic fluids and all of that. Very very simple topic. ठीक है, कल कंटिन्यू करेंगे वो.